Hi guys, welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got a fun one for you today. We got this crazy car images generated by Night Cafe there. When we hover over it, it's going to have some little text pop up with a little call to action button. Take your mouse off, it's going to disappear again. We got two of those for you today. Here's a similar one just using a little blurb module there. And we've got a different one with a drop down from the top. So we got one that's just a fade in module and one that's dropped down from the top. There's no coding involved in this today at all. We're just doing it with the inbuilt features of the Divi theme itself. So it's really easy. So let's get started. I'm going to enable the visual builder. Great. Let's go down and let's perhaps start a new row. I've got a section here, the blue tab. Inside the section, I've got a row, the green tab that's got two columns in it. And each of those has got a little blurb module inside it. I'm going to create a new row. Again, I'm going to use two columns on mine. And again, you can use pretty much any module you want with this. Let's perhaps throw in a call to action this time. I use blurbs above with a little icon there. Let's say car 3. Whatever you want to say on yours for your button there. And the button's not going to show up till we add a link. Obviously, add your content. I've got no real content here as these are AI generated images. So I'm going to leave that just as it is. Let's add a little link. Once we put the button link in there, you can see the button appears there. And you can style that button any way you want over in design. And button right there. Again, I'm going to leave mine just as it is. That background blue color, I'm going to change that to a black. Obviously, you use any color that works for you. So, background's always under content. If we go down there, there's the blue background. Let's switch that out for a black color. And I'm going to click on the field. This variegated slider here is opacity, or see-throughness, if you will. So if we put an image behind this and pull the opacity down, we'll be able to see some of the image. I'm preempting that by pulling this down. To begin with, I happen to know I like to use about 0.6. Adjust to your taste for that. That way, when this fades in, they can still see a bit of the car behind nicely and read this text crisply. Okay, well, I'm fairly happy with that. Not very exciting. Let's just duplicate it and I'll throw one next door to save a bit of time. Okay, well, let's put the little image in that we want. So to do that, the image that we see initially, like we do above here, is actually residing in the column itself. So to get to the column, we go into the row, the green tab. There's the first column, left-hand side. Again, background's always under the content tab. Let's add whatever image we want to add to this. Let's throw that crazy car in. That's okay. As you can see, we can see a nice little bit of that car through our background there, which is just what I wanted. And while we're in here, we may as well do the other column as well. So if I save this, it'll take us back to the main row settings. There's our right-hand column, column 2. Background again, under content. Third one, background image. And let's perhaps throw that crazy car in. Okay, great. We'll save that. We've got our little cars in the background there. We want to make this the shape that we want it. I wouldn't mind having it a little bit deeper, perhaps. A little bit more in style with the one above, but that's entirely up to you. To do that now, we'll create our hover effect as well. We'll go into the blurb module, dark tab for the module. Let's make it the shape we want it first. I want it to be a little bit deeper, so we can do that over in the design tab and in spacing. We can add more padding top, bottom, and left and right if you need to. So let's try that. Let's give it 50 pixels all around. Just put in the 50, it'll put in the pixels. Hit the chain, it'll do the opposite side for you. And we'll do the same for the left and right. And if it's not deep enough, just simply increment this up till it's deep as you want it there. Let's take it up to 60, let's say. As you've got the chain checked, it's going to do both sides at once. Okay. And when you're happy, we can create our hover effect. Now for our first one here, initially we just want to see the picture of that sports car there. and then when they put their mouse on it, we want the text to fade in. Couldn't be easier. No coding, as I mentioned earlier. We're in our call to action. We're on the design tab. We close up spacing. Down below, we've got filters. If we roll down, we've got one called opacity. As I mentioned earlier, it's kind of see-throughness. If I drag it all the way to the left, you'll see that the module is not visible at all, and we've just got that nice picture. If I drag it to the right, you'll see that the module fades back in again. Perfect. Well, knowing this, we can create a hover effect using a bit of time to let it fade in. So when it starts off, we just want to see the picture. So I'm going to grab that and pull it all the way down to the left-hand side to 0. I'm going to hover over the dark writing, and this is common to all Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing, you'll see some little icons appear. If we've got a little arrow there, we have in our case under the opacity. We can create a desktop state when the mouse is not on it. I want to see exactly that. Then when they hover over it, if we click on the hover tab here, the little arrow, I bring it all the way back. When they hover over it, that's going to fade in. So mouse not on it, we've got the image. When they put their mouse on it, it's going to fade in. Now the default time for fading in with the Divi theme is 300 milliseconds, which is pretty quick, just under 1/3 of a second. I like to slow it down for a bit of grace, but again, that's entirely up to you. If you want to do that, we can go over to our advanced. We look down here, we've got transitions. There's our transition duration. There's our default 300 milliseconds. I'm going to drag it up, I don't know, close to a second. Obviously, do what works for you. 3/4 of a second, I think that'll do. Don't want any delay. Want it to happen as soon as their mouse hits it. Transition speed curve. I kind of like ease in, ease out. Ease will work fine though. We'll leave it on that. And that should be our first one done there. Let's take a look on the front end, see if it's going to work for us. We'll hit the little purple button. Save draft or publish if you're ready. Then let's exit the Visual Builder. If we roll on down, there's our little car there. Great, just what we wanted to see, just the image. When I roll over, it's going to take 3/4 of a second to fade in that little call to action module on top. Like I say, you can use any module you want, depending on what information you want to display there. When we take the mouse off, it's going to take 3/4 of a second to fade back out. Just exactly what we wanted. Great. Well, our second one here that we did was a drop down from the top. And again, there's no coding involved, and that's a nice little thing to have on your site. Things like this really do get people's attention if you've got things fading in or moving when the mouse goes over the top of them. Anything like that will certainly get people's attention. Well, let's do this one there. And we'll re-enable the Visual Builder. Once enabled, we'll roll down to where we want to work, which is this one here. First thing I'm going to do is make it the same shape as our other one here. To do that, I'm going to go into the module itself. I'm not sure if you remember or not, but design is spacing. And I think we use 60 top and bottom. Just put in 60. Again, it'll put in the picks. Hit the chain. It does the bottom. That should be about right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I think we had 50 left and right, but I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference in this particular case. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our little thing here. Let's just change that to car 4, the text. So what we're going to do is make this disappear at the top here, and then when they bring their mouse in, it's going to fade back down. So to do that, we're going to go over to design again, and again we're going to use our spacing to do this. Okay, to bring it up the top, I'm going to give it a negative margin of 100%. So it's negative of the whole of its height there that it's going to pull it up. So in the top margin here, I'm going to drag it up by 100%. Its whole height, basically. Negative 100 and the percent sign. As you can see, or as you can't see, it's actually disappeared. It's up here. Car 4. That's fine. Then when we hover over it, we want to bring it back down to where it was. So under the margin, we'll do the same thing. Hover over it. Get the little arrow up, click on the hover state, the little arrow tab here, and move that back to 0. As you can see, that flies back down there. Now, the only trouble that we've got with this, you could give it a pixel value instead of percentage if you want. is there's no way of triggering it. There's no way of pulling it back down once it's up there. If I put it back down up there, it's just up here. We've got no way of actually triggering it. But if we were to add some padding to the bottom of it so that we've actually got something to hover over to trigger it, we can bring it back down quite easily. So on the desktop state, let's adjust the padding on the bottom. Uncheck the chain so it doesn't do both of them. Let's try adding 100% and take it from there. Okay, that's pushed it down, but not quite far enough. We want it to be exactly in line with this one. So we can just increment up with our little arrow till it gets to where we want it. It's just a little bit too far. There we go, 112. Fantastic. But that picture's kind of grayed out a little bit because we've got this background color in there. So what we can do while it's up here, we can take that background color away, then just bring it back in when we hover over it. As you can see, there's the gray or the sort of opaque black that we've got there. So to change that, you know where background is, just under content in the tab there. Again, roll over, we'll get the little arrow going. Desktop state, I don't want to see any color at all. So the opacity slider, I'm going to bring it all the way down again. So we're just left with a nice picture. And when they hover over it, if I click on that field again, I'm going to bring that color back in, and it was at 0.6 I think I used. Like I say, just adjust it to your taste. And that's brought it back down. But as you can see, we've got a bit of a problem there. It's way too deep. And that's because we added all that padding earlier. So all we need to do is take that padding back away again, and it should be the same shape. So to do that, back in design, back to our spacing. So let's hover over the dark writing where it says padding. Make sure you do this and don't do it just because we've got it open with a margin here. You need to go into the padding, hit the little arrow associated with it. We're on the hover state. I just need to change that back to 60 pixels. Just make sure you put the PX at the end there. And that's exactly the way we want it. So we've got that on hover and the picture on the desktop. But as I mentioned earlier, we've got these artifacts up here. It's kind of pushed it way up here and it's over this image at the top here. Really easy fix. What we need to do is save our changes there. If we go into the row itself, second column is the right hand one here. We can go over to the advanced tab. We've got visibility. We change the horizontal and vertical overflow both to hidden. That text has disappeared up there. And what that's doing is anything outside of the row itself will not be shown. So let's take a look at this now. And we should be good to go. Save draft or publish if you're ready. And we'll exit the visual builder. And for anybody that didn't realize, I just used that first one with the blurb filter to do this effect on this little full screen image here. Just got the image in the background of the section. Single column with a single call to action in there, just using that opacity filter on that one, which is the same as our first one here, or this one here. And our second one, when we hover over it, it's going to drop down. They can do the button. Take your mouse off, it's going to go back up the top again. And as I say, when people are mousing around your site, this sort of thing happens. It gets their attention pretty quickly. And as you can see, that's really easy to do. Now, hover effects work best on desktops when people are mousing around. They will work fine on tablet and mobile, but people will obviously have to tap on them for this effect to come in. So there you go, guys. There's two little exciting little hover effects you can do really easy without any coding. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video just like this one. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.